What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kenny Kinetics, where learning is made easy. Today, we're going to be talking about the dorsal column medial lemniscal pathway. Specifically, what sensory information it detects in the periphery and how it gets relayed to the brain. So let's go. Y'all, let's dive into part 2 of the spinal tract. In my last video on the dorsal column medial lemniscal tract, we did a quick general overview of the structural anatomy. Now, we're going to talk specifically about what sensory information this pathway detects. So y'all seen Lion King, right? You know, you got my man's Rafiki, he breaks some fruit in half and then smears it on Simba's head. Now, Simba can feel that light touch specifically on his forehead. How does the brain know that he received that touch on his forehead and not somewhere else like his stomach or his legs? Y'all ever mow the lawn? And you know when you're pushing the lawnmower, you feel that vibration coming through your hands as you touch it? Or when you get a text message, you only feel the vibration in your hands and not somewhere else? Well, how does the brain know specifically where the vibration is coming from? Lastly, you ever play soccer or kickball and know the exact moment when you should bend your leg to kick the ball? How did you know in that exact timing and moment where your leg was in order for you to kick the ball? Any light touch, vibration, or conscious proprioception is all thanks to the dorsal column medial lemniscus. So everybody say, thank you, dorsal column medial lemniscus. Alright, let me stop playing. But seriously, how does the dorsal column medial lemniscus distinguish between these sensations? Let me break it down for you. We have receptors in the body that allows us to pick up on these sensations. These receptors are Ruffini corpuscles, Merkel's disc, Meissner's corpuscles, Pacinian corpuscles, and muscle spindles and Golgi tendon organs, which I do not have depicted. Ruffini corpuscles, Merkel's disc, Meissner's corpuscles, and Pacinian corpuscles are located in the skin, and they pick up on different sensory information. Muscle spindles are located within your muscles, and Golgi tendon organs are located in tendons. Ruffini corpuscles pick up on vibration sensations within the skin. Merkel's disc pick up on deep touch sensations within the skin. Meissner's corpuscles pick up on fine discriminative touch and vibration. Fine discriminative touch is the ability to distinguish between two nearby objects touching the skin at different points. Pacinian corpuscles sense pressure and vibration. Muscle spindles are able to sense length change and rate of change in muscles. Golgi tendon organs pick up on tension the muscle is exerting. Muscle spindles and Golgi tendon organs work together to provide conscious and unconscious proprioception to the brain. The dorsal column medial lemniscus is located at the posterior aspect of the spinal cord here. Information from your upper extremity travels through the fasciculus cuneatus, and information from your lower extremities travel through the fasciculus gracilis. Quick memory tip. There's a muscle in the leg called the gracilis. So I remember that the fasciculus gracilis picks up on sensory information from the lower extremity because that's where the gracilis is located. So that touch sensation that Simba felt on his forehead is picked up by Meissner's corpuscle and enter the posterior aspect of the spinal cord through the dorsal root ganglion and travels through the fasciculus cuneatus here. The vibration that you feel in your hands from the lawnmower and phone vibrating is picked up by Ruffini, Meissner's, and Pacinian corpuscles, and they also enter the posterior aspect of the spinal cord through the dorsal root ganglion and travel through the fasciculus cuneatus here. Lastly, the muscle spindles and Golgi tendon organs sense change in length and rate of change and tension in tendons of the muscles that you're using to kick the ball in order to know where your leg is located in space. This sensory information travels through the posterior aspect of the spinal cord through the dorsal root ganglion and then travels through the fasciculus gracilis here. So that light touch and vibration from the forehead and hands continues until it ascends up and reaches the nucleus cuneatus in the medulla. and the proprioceptive information from the muscle spindles and Golgi tendon organs continue until it reaches the nucleus gracilis within the medulla. The sensory information then synapses with the second-order neuron and decussates, or crosses over the middle of the medulla, and ascends up through the medial lemniscus in the pons and the midbrain until it reaches the cerebrum. Within the cerebrum lies the thalamus, and for this spinal tract, the sensory information synapses with the third-order neuron on the VPL of the thalamus. Now, the cerebrum has its own map of the body that we call the homunculus. And any time sensory information gets relayed to the cerebrum, we become aware of that sensation consciously. So as you can see within the homunculus here, we have the feet, the knee. This is like the trunk in the back, and then it extends into the hand. Now the hand is depicted really big because it has a lot of receptors in the body. Same thing as the face. As you can see here, the face is pretty big as well because in that map, it has a lot of receptors. And this is how the brain processes all the information so quickly when you feel things in your hand and your face versus somewhere like your back. So that light touch that Simba felt on his forehead gets relayed specifically to where the forehead is located, as you can see here. That vibration that you feel from your hands are specifically relayed in the region where the hands are located in the cerebrum, and that would be this one here. The same thing happens for the proprioceptive information that we received from our leg to kick the ball. That information gets relayed to the leg, as you can see, which is located here. This is how we are able to consciously detect light touch, vibration, and conscious proprioceptive information, all coming from the periphery. Now you might be wondering, why do we care about knowing all this stuff? Fasciculus this, decussation that, medulla pons. Why is all this stuff important? Well, within the central nervous system, you have the spinal cord. And when there's damage to the spinal cord, this leads to a spinal cord injury. Some common causes of spinal cord injury include motor vehicle accidents, falls, traumatic incidents such as gunshot wounds, stabs, etc., and sports injuries. One of the spinal cord injuries that you learn about is called posterior cord syndrome. This occurs when there is damage to the back of the spinal cord. Since the dorsal column medial lemniscal tract is located at the back of the spinal cord, it gets affected. Depending on if it is a complete or incomplete spinal cord injury determines how much sensation is affected. What problems do you think someone would have if they do not have their dorsal column medial lemniscus? Well, we just learned that the dorsal column medial lemniscus senses light touch, vibration, and conscious proprioception. So that individual wouldn't have any of that sensory information from the level below that spinal cord injury. So let's say an individual had a complete spinal cord injury at T12. All the sensory information from the lumbar and sacral spinal cord down here cannot be sent and processed to the brain because this information is now lost through the injury. Since it's a complete spinal cord injury here, that information cannot pass through this barrier to get processed by the cerebrum. A person would present with something called sensory ataxia. They look clumsy, like someone who is drunk trying to walk a straight line. Sensory ataxia occurs because the cerebrum isn't getting input from the sensory information from the legs, so the body doesn't know how to coordinate this movement. This leads to decrease in coordination and voluntary movement because they are no longer getting that conscious proprioception from the legs. A person would also lack touch and vibration sensation from the legs as well, since that sensory information isn't able to pass this barrier and be processed consciously by the brain within the cerebrum. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, and leave comments. Tune into my next video, where I talk about the general overview of the spinal thalamic tract. Thanks for watching.